Students, we want to continue our chapter disaster and disaster management in India, right? So, what are the important things we already studied a little bit, right? And okay, the western region is widely known for service of droughts. Okay, the western regions are mostly affected in disaster in the way of droughts and a wind erosion. Erosion means what's that? That means because of the wind, there is destruction of land and soils. And another one is flood and cyclone. These are the most important what's that catastrophe will occur in western region. This area is also prone to earthquake. Prone means it's a chance to earthquake also in western region. The southern region, particularly the coastal region, uh, vulnerable. Vulnerable means severe to cyclone, hard to cyclone, chance to cyclone, sea erosion, tsunami, and landslide. These are the area. This disaster will comes in the way in this way: cyclone, coastal, especially in southern region and coastal. That means cyclone, sea erosion, tsunami, and landslides. Okay, the island of Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep are confronted with the problem of sea erosion and tsunami. This island, Andaman, Nicobar, and Lakshadweep Island, also victimized sea erosion and tsunami. The Indian coastal areas have faced some of these severest cyclones both along the eastern and western coast. So I already told in India there is a division is there: west, north, east, south. So in these two paragraphs says about which area is affected more, which area is the symptom of disaster, which area is other symptom of disaster. Already we have seen these two paragraphs. So each area have a different intensity of disaster. Southern area is quite a different area of intensity of disaster, whereas in western area their own difference in this disaster. So first of all, we want to know about what are the disasters, what are the human disasters. We already want to know what are the common disasters, and we also know what are the deadliest disaster. So this thing we already studied. And what is the next step? We want to know that, right? So we also know that what is the reason for the disaster. Some of the reason we already studied in your paragraph. Well, next paragraph. Among all the disasters in India, the tsunami is relatively new phenomenon. Yes, of course. Tsunamis comes to be as a fresh one, fresh disaster we can call as newly disaster we can call as tsunami, especially India. Due to the lack of adequate warning system, we have a lack of, I mean, adequate warning system. We have no adequate warning system. That is why most of the disasters are very severe. So, adequate warning system is essential for the countries or in the region in order to precaution for such kinds of disaster, and for extent we can avoid some such kinds of heavy disaster. So, what is the worst problem? Lack of adequate warning system. That means information system. The tsunami of 2004 devastated a large portion of the coastal regions of Tamil Nadu, okay, Kerala, and Andhra Pradesh, beside Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Tsunami mostly hit in some of the area, especially that Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu coast, and at the same time island like Andaman and Nicobar. It has claimed a large number of lives and destroyed property worth crores of rupees. Yeah, wide scale destruction. Destruction of property, destruction of human beings, destruction of crores of rupees. That means entire property is mostly destroyed due to tsunami. particularly in southern states of India like Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and at the same time Andaman Nicobar Islands. This has happened because there is no particular or no sufficient or adequate warning system. If the warning system is there, we can sometimes stop this catastrophe or stop the disaster, or we can reduce the intensity of the disaster due to the adequate warning system. So there is no proper adequate or sufficient warning system in this area. That's why it became very destructive way in the land. All right, next paragraph. Well, India has faced a number of disasters. Yes, though a lot of disasters we already faced and discussed, ranging from natural disaster like what are the natural disasters like flood, earthquakes, cyclone, tsunami, drought, and landslide, to man-made disasters like the Bhopal gas tragedy that happened in '84 in Madhya Pradesh. During this century, India has witnessed some major disasters, which include Gujarat earthquake also, that is also another one. The Mumbai Gujarat flood also, that is also another one. Okay. Then what is another one? Uttarakhand, there is a floods also comes, and hurricane. Hurricane is a strong wind. Or Filin in coastal Orissa. The Filin is a place in Orissa, and Andhra Pradesh also witnessed 2013 such kinds of a wind hurricane. That is also natural disaster comes in this area. So many places mentioned here, the affected disaster area in different parts of India, not only in south but also in north also. Well, next paragraph. The direct and indirect impacts of disaster. Then we want to know about this paragraph is onward. This from this paragraph onwards, we want to write inside that is a what is a consequence of disaster, or we can say that what are the impact of disaster. That is very important. You must be right from this paragraph onwards. Write your heading impact of disaster. Either natural or industrial are always damaged. So first impact is that industry damage, completely damage industry area. Destruction also comes and death also comes out. When disaster strikes, the lifeline support system, especially it affects our lifeline support system just like that of nearly communication, networks, mobile and everything. Power supply, that means current, that's also will destructed. Water supply, that also destructed. Drainage pipeline, that's also destructed. These are the things destroyed due to disaster. That's the first impact one. What are the communication will go on, supply will, power supply will go on, water supply will go, and at the same time drainage will also go. That are the and most of the death also will committed, property also damaged. So these are the result of the or impact of what our disaster. Okay. So just imagine that if there is no communication, if there is no power supply, without water, how can we live? Very difficult, no? Okay. Moreover, healthcare and hospital are also put under severe stress. That means too much people are injured, so hospital became crowded. So it is very difficult way to control the patients in the hospital. So that is also another impact. And another impact is that commercial and economic activities are also badly affected. Commercial, that means merchants also, and also economic activities, especially your business and merchants, their activities also affected. Life almost come to the standstill. Life is come to stop. There is a standstill. Nischalamav. Stop. all activities stop. That is one of the impact of disaster. The psychological tremors means what is a mental effect. It is mentally affect. The people can mentally affect without power, without water, without current, without electricity, without communication. The business decline. Relatives are dead, and some of them relatives or people are in hospital, and their property and their shops and their wings, merchants, everything is gone because of the disaster. It is mentally affected. That is called here tremors, caused by mentally affected. Tremors means mentally affected. Caused by the disasters are sometimes so severe that they span the whole lifetime of the victim. Sometimes, so it's became maybe this is last for a long time. It affect the people. That's why it is not a short period to finish. It is maybe affected for a long years. Okay. Therefore, along with other rehabilitation, so what do we needed? Rehabilitation needed. What do you mean by rehabilitation? Start from the beginning. If you distracted everything, we want to start from the beginning. We want to construct the house again. We want to start the business again. We want to reinstall the electricity again. We want to reinstall the communication again. We want to reinstall the water supply, drainage, everything. We want to reinstall from the beginning itself. So that is called as rehabilitation. It takes time. Psychological rehabilitation should also given duty importance. Among the rehabilitation, not only these rehabilitation I already told, but psychological rehabilitation also we want to give. What do you mean by psychological rehabilitation? That means some people are totally what is it upset because of the business may be declined, because maybe the house may be declined, maybe the relatives, close relatives are died. So what happened? They are mentally shocked. In order to remove the shock from her mind or his mind, we want to give a new or psychological class or psychological approach from the government. That is a psychological rehabilitation. Some people are totally died. Maybe they have pessimist. That means they will gone. My business gone, my money gone, my house gone, my wife gone, my children's died. After that, they are just like a mad people. So psychological rehabilitation means we want to control them. We want to come in front in the previous state, previous way. The organization or government should help such kinds of people in the way of psychological class and to come as per all the way. It is also one of the challenge faced by the government and organization after disaster. So these are the impact of disaster. Disaster affects all sides. I already told some of the sides here. Okay, and then next paragraph. All right. The impact is almost the same even in the case of man-made disaster like riots. I already told riots, Kalabam. It is a not a natural disaster. It is a man-made disaster. Riots is a man-created disaster. Man's intensively, I mean, it's very planningly they have to use such kinds of situation that is called riots. The most affected are the poor section of the society. Who are most affected? Not rich people. Poor section people are mistakenly take their weapons and they fight each other. Who have to work daily to earn their livelihood. That people are daily wages people, ordinary jobbers. They fight each other. They have maybe handicapped, maybe died, maybe their close friends, relatives, all are died. This is also one of the impact of disaster. But this disaster is not natural disaster. It is a human-made disaster. It is called disaster. It's a riots. It's a man-made disaster, and it is also affected in the minds of the people and society. same damage also comes out. So these are the impacts of two paragraphs is about the impacts of what this disaster. Then, well, next paragraph. In some natural disaster like cyclone, tsunami, and the earthquake, it is a building structure which became a cause of destruction and death. If tsunami comes, mostly affected the building, and cyclone also come, the mostly affect the building, big building, and earthquake also it comes affect the building. So, what we want to do in developing countries, only 30% of the buildings are constructed in accordance with the regulations laid down the ensuring safety and security. That means we should have used proper security way to build the house or building or flat or commercial complex. You know, big complex may be constructed, it should be under government law. If the government say that this much of cement should be used, that much of cement should use. If for example government say 100 100 pack of cement should be used, maybe they want to take a profit, they maybe take 90, not 100, 90, maybe 80 pack of cement use. So what is the result? Easy decline, easy destruction of the building. And sometimes they are using very poor steel for construction, but we should have to use ISA mark steel. The law and safety say that ISA mark of steel use, then it became very strong, the building. But for getting profit, some people have to, narrow-minded people use less cost steel for building. So what is happen? If tsunami, cyclone or earthquake will come, easily the building will be easily damaged. The building should be very strong due to proper use of cement, I mean metal, or what is it, the steel, or very ISA marks, very what government says that should be we want to follow. Then only we can get a secure and a security. But most of them has to, in order to get a profit, they have used what cheap materials, and so the building is easily damaged. So that is another things have to happen. Similarly, the lack of master plans. Second cause for that building destruction is master plan. There is no proper master plan. Simply have to construct the building or shopping complex for their own way. If anything happened in there, for example, if you want two door, there may be constructed one door. If something happened in the mall, in fire or something happened in the mall, the people can't to escape easily because all people are came in the same door, one door. There is no any other door. So that maybe it becomes too much damage, isn't it? So that is why when you plan a building or when you plan shopping complex, when you plan any house, we should use, uh, we should follow the government laws and regulations. This much of proportional cement should be used. This much proportional steel should be used. This much proportional metal should be used. There should be a master plan. There should be a safety measures. Everything we want. Otherwise, government never gave permission for building a shopping complex or house or anything. But here, some officers have to bribe some money from someone and they sign the paper. So that is the result for easily destruction of building, shopping complex, any other thing. Mainly it comes tsunami, cyclone or earthquake, it will easily damage. So what do we want? We should have a master plan. We should have to follow rules and regulations of the government. Then we construct the building, houses or shopping complex, any other thing. Oh, the lack of master plan and the interior quality of materials. That we want to use very good materials. ISI mark material I want to use, not a cheap one. For construction, also aggravate the casualties arising out of disasters. Therefore, both private and public buildings should have constructed according to the guidelines prescribed by the law. Or what government say, or law we want to follow the law, or we want to follow government. Then only our building should be very strong. We can, some extent, we can prevent the natural calamity, natural disasters. Moreover, construction should strictly adhere means mingled to the master plan approved by the authorities. Yes. Above all, good quality materials, I already told, should be used for construction. This paragraph says about if you follow government law, if you are following master plan, if you are following this security measures, we can reduce the intensity of disaster. Okay, that's about this. And next paragraph, the UNDAC is this United Nations Disaster Assessment and Coordination. So this we are talking about the disaster, type of disaster, severest disaster, natural disaster, human disaster, man-made disaster. We already and a division of India, land, west, east, north, where it is affect cyclone, where it affect hurricane. We already discussed, and we already also discussed about the impact of uh, what this one, disaster. Various things we have studied. Then we want to study this paragraph on will study about what are the organization, what are the wings, what are the government measures, what are the committee introduced by the government, central government and state government for reducing, or we have to awareness for the in order to stop the in order to reduce the disaster heavily. Okay, this is one of the organization, United Nations Disaster Assessment and Coordination. That is the full form of UNDAC. So this is the first organization. What is their duty? Along with the government of India has jointly prepared an action plan. They prepared an action plan with the help of government, this organization, for cities and towns were vulnerable. Vulnerable means face severe chance for disaster to earthquake. So in order to stop the earthquake, particularly city, UNDAC has cooperated with the government, made some action plan. Okay. All right. So what is the next one we want to know? Okay. Vulnerable areas means chance to occur area, disaster chance for. The existing building should be technically assessed. Assessed means we can assess one, we can valued. Okay. And individual owners and group housing authorities should be informed about the weakness in their construction. So what is I said it? First we want to make aware of the construction people. We want to use this material, this we want to use ISI material, we want to use up to this measure. Like that we want to aware of these builders. Okay, then we can reduce the intensity of disaster. Okay, presently it is estimated that around 1 million buildings are constructed every year in India. In India, it happened in 1 million buildings were constructed in a year. Oh my God. So, and an equal number of them gets damaged as a result of disaster. At the same time, these buildings also get damaged or got damaged due to disaster. Why? Because they are not follow the government law. They have to construct the building their own way. So that's why destruction of disaster is too severe there. In order to reduce the damage to the building, yes, what will happen? A monitoring mechanism. Yes, there is a monitoring means melnotam or melnotam. Mechanism should be set up disaster prone area. Prone area means chance area, which must be act a proper coordination with the concerned authorities to ensure the fulfillment of building codes. So there should be a form an organization in order to aware the people, or in order to make sure whether they use proper materials, proper guidelines of government. They want to an organization. They want a committee for assess that one. All right, the next paragraph. Well, these are the some of the measures taken by the government or the private people for the reduce the intensity of disaster. This paragraph said like that. And next paragraph. Then what is a government authority here says about how to form a government authority to control the disaster management. In the case of disaster management, in the state government play a major role. Yes, state government play important role, and also central government only play a facilitating role. That means facilitating means easy role. Since state government formed a big role, central government also played a good role, but not compared to more as state government. At the state level, what we will do? There is a state level disaster management committee want to form. State level disaster committee want to form. For what? In order to avert the disaster and stop the disaster casualties. And want a senior secretary of various departments and representative of NGO. NGO means here government officers we can call as group of government officers we can call as NGO. So what do you want? State government committee want to form with the help of central government, and a secretary and more government officers should be participating in the committee. At the national level means central government level, there is a crisis management committee want to form. One is crisis management committee, that is from central. One is state disaster management committee, that's from state. One is the senior secretary should be a leader, whereas in the crisis management committee, the cabinet secretary and the secretaries from the major departments of the government is a leader. So the central government, with the proper coordination with various ministries, provides necessary support to the states. With the help of both central government and state government should help each other, which include defense service like dropping, rescuing, searching, transport of relief goods, etc., and availability of rail and ferry service. Ferry means boat service, health personnel, and medical supports. So these are the measures we want to follow. Then only we can reduce the intensity of disaster. We cannot say that fully we can avoid the disaster, but we can avoid the intensity, severity of disaster we can avoid with the help of this committee. And the committee should be uh, give the people like this dropping, rescuing, searching, transport, relief goods, availability of rail, ferry service, health service, everything we want to do the government, then it became very easy for us to control the disaster. So government side also want to active to control some extent the disaster. Then the government should be do what is that? Rehabilitation. Of course, rehabilitation should be do. Is integral part of the disaster management. Since disasters are non-routine events, they require non-routine response for effective management and rehabilitation. This means that government cannot rely on normal procedures to implement appropriate response. There should be a proper coordination among the various departments of this government being speedy relief to the victim. Yes, if one family is damaged because of the disaster, the government should become very fastly and in front of them. And what are the things needed them, government should have to give. If they want to proper medical, the government should give. If they want some proper economic help, should have to give. That is called rehabilitation. Understood? Yes. Moreover, the rescue teams require a learning of special skill and attitude in dealing with the disasters. Yeah, rescue team means രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്തുന്നവർ, ഇതിൽപ്പെട്ടവരെ രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്തുന്ന ആൾക്കാരെ രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്തുന്നവരെ പറയുന്ന പേരാണ് റെസ്ക്യൂ ടീം. Rescue team should be very trained and skillful, very intelligent people should be appointed. Additionally, they need to be well equipped with the latest technology. Yes, They don't use the old method of boat, old method of jacket. Should be new jacket, new swimming suit, and new what is their gloves, or what may be the requirements. Everything want to give appropriately. Otherwise, it's very difficult. So government also should have to use strong measures in the way of rehabilitation. Well, next paragraph. This is the last paragraph, I think so. Disaster management has assumed, that means take up, assumed means take up here, greater importance in recent times. Yes, now is forward countries, developed countries are already the very good team for disaster management. The whole purpose of disaster management is not to prevent these natural man-made disasters. We may be not be able to avoid many of these disasters, but we can definitely mitigate their impact. Mitigate means reduce their impact. It means if the government should have to perform very nicely, then we can reduce the intensity of disaster. That's about it, disaster management. I already gave the question answer, essay and question answer. Last class also I given almost every notes. So you should be study that one. Alright. Alright, that is a very important thing you want to know there. See the question answer, everything I given. So you must be know that what are the organization, central government and state government is, everything is here. Right. The question answers also here. So many question answers we want to discuss. Here is a 20th question we want to discuss. Is what is that? What is the purpose of disaster management? Yes. The purpose of disaster management is to, what is that? Reduce the impact of disasters. Yes. With the proper disaster management, we can reduce the number of death and damage. So we can reduce the intensity of disaster because of the proper management. That is why purpose of disaster management is very good and a needed one. And the 19th question. What are the special requirements of the rescue team according to the author? The rescue team should have skilled and should have equipped with the latest technologies. I already told it. Modern technology equipment want to give the rescue team. Then only they can work very smoothly and easily. Oh, next. What are the special requirements of the rescue team according to the author? We already said. 18th question. How does the central government coordinate? The central government gives the necessary support to the state government. That is the main thing we want to do. Then 17th question. What are the structures of the state and the central level committee of disaster management? I mean, this state level management committee consists senior secretaries and NGO members. And central government is cabinet secretary should have to crisis management committee that is connected to central government. Then what is the requirement of the areas vulnerable earthquake in order to reduce the damage of that? In prone to earthquake, the existing buildings should be technically assessed and owners should be informed of the weakness of the construction. To reduce the damage, monitoring system should be set up. That means if you construct a house or building, we want to first check the land, whether this land is good for the building or this soil is very perfect or not. Is it affect any other problem? First you want to know that. So monitoring first, assess that. Then only construct. Don't construct without permission. That is why the Marad flat, lastly in Ernakulam, Kochi, Marad flat, you can see that destruction of the government order for destruction of the Supreme Court order for destruction of Marad flat. Because why? They didn't take permission. They take permission by bribing the government officers. So that's why lastly, very big tall building collapsed because of this order of the government. So before construction anything, we should have to seek the help of the government's law. Okay, that's all today. We will come next class with the next chapter. Thank you very much. Take care.